Right, we're live. Can you all hear us? It's Matt Page and James Gillingham.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you this evening.
Hopefully the sound's all okay. We've got lots of people on the chat. We'll just wait for a few more people. Forrest, you haven't missed anything yet. We've just gone live. We can't wait either, Boone. Nice to see everyone on there. Let's give it a few more minutes. Is the audio okay?
Is there any background noise? If there is, I can close the doors.
We'll be fine. Neil Harris says hi. The Wolf of Alt Streets. That's an excellent handle. Great work.
It's a brilliant handle.
Perfect audio. Thanks, guys. Dr. FOMO, another class handle. Hi, Matt. Hi, Michael. HSP Tuan, nice to see you. Emergency money. Brilliant. Right. How many people we've got? 72. No problem. We do try. I know you wanted a video AMA, and we want to listen to the community and give back. So yeah, we're currently in Singapore. We've still got a bit of social distancing, so I'm just out of camera shot. Crypto Freck says hi, James.
Hello.
Yeah, we appreciate the community too. We're not at a Capital Tower today. We're out of an unknown location.
We're at my home.
At James's house. I'm sure you won't be shy when it's your turn to ask all the questions. James has the floor with you. Nice to see that, Crypto Freck. Day's been very busy, Remy. Very, very busy. Non-stop. Right, we've got about 82 people at the moment. We'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll start. Yeah, Tuan, it's, we've got a second lockdown, but it's a little bit easier to live with, but a lot of working from home, split teams, and only allowed 2 people in a meeting together, social distancing, masks on, but Singapore's still functioning. Yeah, definitely smash some likes. We need some likes. Lots of the team have been working incredibly hard. Bedroom billions. Loving these tags. Yeah, we will be doing a marketing video of the office, just so you guys can see the full location. But with the social distancing rules and the split teams, what we wanted to do is do this video just before the lockdown happened, actually, so you could see everyone in all the departments. So as soon as we're back up running full speed at the office, we'll do that video and get that out so you can see. I really like the idea. Yeah, a day in the life of FINXFLO. I think we could do a little time lapse of that. Wolf of Wall Street's. We're going to get to the free flow questions in a sec. We're going to do. I'll tell you what. We've been another minute and a half, so we'll get started and give you a little rundown of the program. So, marketing team have collated the top 5 questions across all the social media platforms. So we're going to run through that, answer those 5 questions for you, and then more importantly is 15-20 minutes free for all questions, and James is just going to hit as many as he can, hiding behind nothing, to answer as many of those questions as we can for you. So I hope that's okay for you. Right, so let's get started.
Okay.
I'm sure you're really excited that we got a video AMA. You got some time with James. Big hello from me, Matt Page. I'm heading up the sales in APAC. It's been a great pleasure for me to work with FINXFLO along this journey. And although you might not see as much action as you like, I can tell you the team is working incredibly hard to deliver on our platform. So let's get into the top 5 questions from the social platforms, and we'll then break it down and you can get involved with live questions. So first question, which I think is the most talked about in the community, apart from when listing, they're very keen to know, when is the platform going live for the public, and what stage are we at now, and how many people are live on the platform, James?
Okay, good question. So as everyone here in the community knows, we've taken a much longer prudent approach because we've been reviewing and watching a number of other projects. These actual projects themselves, some of them have done okay, some of them have fouled. We actually decided to have a much slower approach. So we added the first 50 people, active traders, around 2 weeks ago, and then the second bunch were added around a week ago. Now, during the addition of the second 50, essentially there was some user experience bugs that currently transpired, and we, the tech team as well as the business side, were not quite happy with. So we've actually stopped onboarding with the actual golden tickets. We anticipate that these actual bugs themselves will be ironed out, I guess, in the next week and a half. So I would imagine by any time, I would say by mid-June will be when we'll be opening up the floodgates to the much wider community. The reason why we've done that is because, again, I want to be able to protect the project. We've worked extremely hard. Tech team have done fantastically well to get us where we are. Because we're obviously regulated as well, we have to do things like transaction monitoring, so we have to do KYT, we have to integrate a lot of partners and a lot of partnerships. So there's a lot of different APIs that the tech team are working on. I just want to make sure there's a smooth transition, but not only this, actually on Monday, so for the rest of you guys that are waiting for full access, this Monday, so Monday the 31st of May, we are going to open up the demo platform. So you guys are going to be able to trade on the test net. You'll be able to sign up, you'll be able to register, you'll be able to execute trades. And then shortly after that, within a 1 or 2 week span, obviously the tech team are working around the clock. They're doing an amazing job. So by the middle of June, mid-June, we will open up the floodgates. You guys will then be able to start executing orders and then getting global best price. And then you'll be able to compare where you're currently trading, your current venues, and then you'll be able to trade through FINXFLO. And I'm absolutely certain that you'll be extremely impressed with what we've built. That's
great to hear, James. And I know I can second that. The amount of effort that's going on behind the scenes, it's hard for you to see. And maybe something like having a live webcam in the office, and you can all see us working until silly o'clock when things open up a bit more in Singapore. We'll give you the real flavour of what's going on. There's a monumental effort to deliver the best user experience, best platform experience in crypto. We're really proud to be part of this. So another one of the questions is a bit more of a technical one on how the clients will store their tokens and coins on our platform, because we do it slightly differently from other platforms and exchanges. So James, talk to us a little bit more about the custody and how that works with our platform.
Okay, yeah, great question. So something that obviously many of you will be aware of is obviously last week, the week and a half, there's been a huge downturn. Many of the actual trading platforms, tier 1 platforms, tier 2 platforms, actually went down for a period of time. So during that time, when you're trying to actually withdraw your coins and tokens, when you're trying to withdraw them, you would not be able to, because you can't access, because they stop essentially access to all the platforms. So what we have is we have a centralized custody, but they're a regulated custodian. But your funds will never be placed on the underlying exchange themselves. So if you remember back when OKX actually went down for longer than a month and nobody could actually withdraw, if you look at players like Binance or Coinbase, they often go down and you're trying to withdraw your coins, your tokens, you're unable to. Whereas with us, we will never ever place your coins on the underlying liquidity providers. So we've created what's classed as a dark pool. So we will, so we've actually manufactured and we're able to place margin on the underlying liquidity providers, which is essentially our own company funds. So it means that your funds, your coins are never placed at the liquidity providers themselves. So even if a liquidity provider does go down, if an exchange goes down or a market maker goes down, and you're unable to access or normal people are unable to get into the account, your funds are never placed with them. So what that essentially means is even if the underlying is inaccessible, you're still able to withdraw and take your tokens out or your coins. And consequently, off the back of that, you can also continue to trade. So when a week and a half ago, our team were constantly monitoring to see if our APIs and our price feeds were continuing to price. And during the big move and essentially the meltdown, we were still pricing throughout then. So even when the meltdown happens, by using FINXFLO, you can still execute trades, still get in and out of your positions, and you're totally safe and secure. Your tokens and your coins are totally secure within our infrastructure, and you're still able to withdraw even when there's really high volatility.
Yeah, we can't stress that enough. Everyone's seen what's happened in the last few weeks, and you don't need to look very far with the frustration of getting stuck in the trade. And that's something we're super excited about. When this platform's fully open to the public, you'll have that benefit. Right, next question. Looking at what's in the future, the community is really curious about the marketing strategy. We get a lot of questions about that. James has been very vocal about where we sit on marketing at the moment. I think we want to be prudent on our spend, and when the platform's fully open, that's when we will go live with the marketing. So I think we should just explain a little bit more about the marketing strategy, where we are right now, and where we will be when the platform's open, James.
Sure. So for any platform or for any business moving forward that hasn't yet launched, it's pretty crazy to spend a bunch of cash and money and funds on marketing before your product is live and ready. So that's where we've been restricting the amount of capital outflow in marketing campaigns as such. We've actually gone for lower hanging fruit. So we're actually working with NASDAQ and Bloomberg TV. So you would have seen me appear on some of those shows. We do have, and we have put a decent amount of money in our infrastructure for the marketing department. We've now placed a number of key individuals in roles, and we've already made the hires. As many people, many of you have also mentioned that we've also opened up California, we've opened up New York, and we've opened up Cyprus, and not only the HQ here in Singapore. And those actual individual business units themselves also have marketeers on the ground. Now, if you're kind of old school in marketing, there's above the line marketing, below the line, and in between the line. So if you look at the more traditional aspects of marketing, so of course we're going to be working extremely hard to gain a lot more exposure. We're also looking in the pipeline for potential partnerships. There's also sporting events that we can also for sponsorships. We're also looking to partner with other key strategic partners around the world. Many of you would have seen that we've just recently announced a lot of liquidity providers. We will be obviously actively marketing to investors through our IDO and people that kind of really know who we are. And we're having a real huge marketing push. I would say Q4 this year is really when we're really going to start ramping up, because Q3 is realistically going to be us onboarding 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people. And then we're going to really be hitting the system. We don't want tens of millions of people on the platform at this point, because as we say, we want to slowly grow and we want to be prudent. I don't want the platform to go down, because if the platform goes down, all of a sudden the complaints from the community is going to be horrendous. So we need to protect ourselves. So we will grow slowly across Q3, and in Q4 we will really open up the floodgates, and we will potentially be spending millions of dollars on marketing and marketing campaigns where everybody will be hugely impressed with what we're going to do and how we're going to execute it.
It's exciting times ahead, it really is. So lots to look forward to. We've got a lot of questions now, James, about the point of differentiation between FINXFLO and other exchanges and platforms, or protocols, as many of them are. I think it's really important to re-emphasize to the community on what the key differentiators are. And we touched on a few really big ones, like your funds are not sat on the exchange, they're sat off exchange. And that's really critical with the issues we've all seen in the last few days and weeks. So it'd be great if you could explain a little bit more about what our key USPs are.
So there's many USPs. People say competitors, but I don't really see them as competitors. Like, we are real world businesses. We have a business in Singapore that's registered, and you guys can go and type online and go on into the company files, and you can see us registered, regulated. You see that we have our regulations. You see there's real people behind the actual company. Now, when you actually move into the real world and you have a real world company, you're able to face off to other regulated institutions. So we've already spoken to a number of brokerages and crypto facing hedge funds and family offices and all these kind of people. These people want to be able to face off to a real world company that has regulations, that has things like best execution, that has a dark pool, right? So the actual other what's classed as in our industry kind of competitors are not really competitors. What they are is they're essentially smart contracts where you plug in a wallet and you execute, and they route you to the best price. Now, with regards to smart contracts themselves, the actual review. So for instance, if I'm an institution, if I'm a hedge fund, and I want to execute trades, I'm not going to sign up to a smart contract, because I'd have to get the smart contract. First of all, I would have to have it reviewed. I'd have to have a code review, right? So that's going to cost me a lot of money, time, and effort. And I just don't, most traditional hedge funds or money managers don't have the expertise to even know how to even review the code of a smart contract. Whereas with a company like us, by having global regulation across multiple jurisdictions, by having real world businesses where you can come in, you can meet with us face-to-face. You will have a relationship manager. It's a totally different business model. Now, obviously, there are, and I'm not downplaying the smart contract guys or some of our loose competitors. I'm not saying that they won't have any business, because there is room and the pie is big enough in crypto for everybody, right? Now, some people will just want to go the no KYC and AML route. They want to just plug in their MetaMask wallet, and they want to just be firing off trades. There is always going to be a place for that for these kind of traders. However, we're not going after those kind of traders. That's for the protocols, and that's fine. We are going after the more sophisticated retail guys that are used to signing up with KYC and AML. They want to eradicate things like front running. So if you're trading through, say, a decentralized exchange right now, then you will notice there's lots of bots taking advantage of gas fees. So by trading through FINXFLO, you will no longer have the front running or the nefarious activity, because we will route your trade through to a different exchange. So the algo or the automated bot will not know which exchange that you're going to be trading with, what your counterparty is. Now, as I mentioned before, we place margin on each underlying liquidity provider. So your funds are never, ever placed with any of the LPs. It also means that we've created a dark pool, as I just mentioned. So all of the clients are facing off to FINXFLO, and FINXFLO, FXF, will face off to each of the underlying LPs. So all the LP will ever see is FINXFLO, FXF to LP, LP to FXF. And then we will do the same trade with the actual underlying clients themselves. So that also means that if we're signing up larger institutions, which we're onboarding right now, they never want to be seen by a tier 1, tier 2, or a decentralized exchange as though they're trading through them, because that will obviously go into the natural markets, and they will be able to be known by the market that they are trading and buying Bitcoin. So by coming through to FXF and trading through FINXFLO, through our dealing room and our dealing desk and executing trades, it then essentially means that you're trading anonymously. So if you execute and you buy 20 Bitcoin in one click, it then means that trade's also protected. Now, what we also have is what's been mentioned before, which some of you may know the more traditional one, which is TWAP and VWAP. So TWAP is time weighted average price and volume average weighted price. So we actually slice up the 20 Bitcoin order, and then we will route the coins through to what we class as top of book, so the aggregated order book. Let's assume that exchange number one is offering the best price for Bitcoin at $25,000, but it's only offering 2 BTC. Now, the second best price is probably going to be at another exchange. It's not going to be at the same exchange. So we will slice your order up and we will place it into all of the other exchanges. So again, this is a beneficial part of using FINXFLO, is by us aggregating and routing your orders to the best possible price, best execution as well. So we also protect it with regulations. So here, obviously, we have the MAS. We have applied for the broker-dealer license in New York. We also applied for the SISEC license across Europe. We're hoping to have these licenses completed. The New York license is going to be the longest. It will take maybe around a year. The other two should be completed by Q3, Q4 this year, we're hoping. And once they are done, it also gives the extra layer of comfort that there's no kind of nefarious activity, because as we all know, being in crypto, even the tier 1, tier 2 exchanges or the decentralized exchanges, they all have some kind of activity that is disadvantageous to traders. So we're here to kind of police the whole system and be able to eradicate this kind of behavior. So that's really what kind of differentiates us from our loose competitors to what we're trying to achieve and what we're building here at FXF and FINXFLO.
I hope that gives you a broader view, because it's a lot to unpack. And I think in future live AMAs, I think we should concentrate a little bit more on this when the platform's out and people can experience it, because the power of what we're building is really, really important, especially with slippage. So everything that James just explained is essentially that global best price is reducing slippage across that on those larger orders. So front running, being key, and I think James, next time we could spend a bit more detail on each one of those, because I think my experience, only a very small amount of people in the cryptocurrency community understands all of the institutional terms and how they're going to be deployed. I mean, for example, all exchanges talk about maker and taker, and in the traditional world, it's not even that. It's market order. And so there's lots of crossovers there. So I think it'd be good to do a bit more of a explanation, I think, as we all learn more as the platform evolves. Right, last question, some of which has already been answered with New York and Cyprus, but obviously roadmaps being talked a lot in the community, and we've released recently the updated roadmap that I know you've all been asking for. So the community is asking, I'm really interested to know what's in store in this last part of 2021, and then early part of 2022. So a bit more detail on staffing, I think, of where we're going with the US office in Cyprus. Obviously, marketing is going to be tied into that, and you've already had the answers there. But just flesh out a little bit more about the roadmap, where we are, and include things maybe like the mobile app, because I know that's a couple of questions that's been spoken about.
Yeah. So again, it's a very broad question, right? So the roadmap, there's so much things that are really going on behind the scenes, and I understand the frustration from some of the community members because it's hard to really push a business super fast and hard and constantly remain super transparent, because we're trying to work on multiple parts of the business constantly. So basically, as I already mentioned, we've just rolled out Cyprus. We have two individuals there, which are essentially the directors of the business. They're about to start growing their team as soon as the regulations have been acquired. The broker dealer and the New York entity has been set up. We've just acquired the office there. We have one staffing member, and he's now building his team out. We have another 2 or 3 that are going to be joining very, very, very soon. We've hired now 42 staff, I believe it is, here in Singapore. That covers all the compliance, legal, sales, marketing, developers, tech, business data, and analytics. We have pretty much the whole business now constructed, which is like the real foundations. And then obviously, if we talk more about the platform's rollout, it's being rolled out as we speak. We have the new UI, new UX. We have a lot of bespoke things within our execution, the smart order routing, the algos, these kind of things. We're also executing now staking and yield farming. These are going to be rolled out internally. We're also building a bunch of bridges. So I believe that marketing are going to make a few big announcements on some decentralized exchanges that are going to be reducing gas fees to buy the FXF token, because I know that the gas fees have been extremely high. So we're now building bridges into some of these decentralized exchanges. That's going to become more and more prevalent. I know that this is a big hot topic, which is a listing. We've been in negotiations with a number of tier 1 exchanges, because we've already signed up to them as liquidity providers. And now we're working very, very hard on negotiating the best possible deal with the underlying exchanges to also list. So we're also going to have a centralized listing, I believe, probably within the next quarter. We're now negotiating the terms of how that's going to look and how that's going to work. We're obviously pushing very hard. We're also tying up our Series A funding. So we've already completed, as everybody knows, our IDO and our exchange listing, which went very, very well. But we're now completing Series A funding, where we're actually selling a portion of the company and raising another $25 million. That should be concluded, we believe, by the middle of June. There's a number of interested parties, a lot more than what we actually anticipated. So there's a lot of people that are now vying for the equity, which is super exciting. And then obviously we're looking at building out the team, but more importantly, it's building the most solid platform and a much better pricing. The whole point why I came up with the idea of FINXFLO was, after trading on multiple accounts, trading through lots of exchanges and trying to find the best possible price, it was impossible. So the whole point of us creating this was really adding benefit to retail traders and institutional traders alike to make sure that we give the best possible execution. So then we're going to build out the platform. I would say by Q4, we will actually start working with the community very, very closely. We will get your feedback. We will start working on the next editions. We're going to be looking to add, I would say, around 50 crosses or 50 different assets by the end of the year. And then moving into to 2022, we will then continue to add more crosses, more assets, and giving more accessibility because of the aggregation of all the underlying exchanges. We have more access to or deeper access to more assets than anybody else. So we can actually provide more tokens available and coins available than any other exchange in the world. It will take us time to get there, but we will get there in 2022 as we add more and more assets. And then obviously we're adding the installation of all of the regulations around the world. As I mentioned, Europe's regulation and Asian regulation should be completed, I would say, by Q3, Q4 this year, and then the US regulation by Q1, Q2 next year. Again, that's kind of, again, it's not guaranteed. It's up in the air because the regulators move as fast as what they want to. However, the compliance team, the legal team, and the various teams around the world are working very, very hard to push this through ASAP. And then obviously the major business milestones is onboarding as many institutions and retail clients as possible. By Q1 next year, we would really hope to have around 100,000 active traders on the actual trading platform. And then obviously just making sure that things like security, execution are constantly being polished and being improved, and then giving you guys ultimately the best user experience possible. So that's really the next kind of horizon of where we're moving, where we are right now, where we're moving, and where we're going to be in 2022.
Brilliant, James. Thanks very much for that update. Now, we're going to open the floor to as many questions as we can answer in the next 15, 20 minutes. I've seen a few pop up quite a few times. So let's jump in with this one, because I think it's important, especially with market sentiment, with where we're bullish or bearish at the moment. I mean, in my personal view, not financial advice, but if you're in this market, there's a narrative that still holds. So wherever the price is at the moment, you have to think about that thesis when we're going forward. Now, with that in mind, one of the questions that's come up with a number of people is, if we were to go through a bear market at FINXFLO, are we able to survive?
Okay.
Because I think it's quite interesting who did quite well in bear markets, and that was exchanges, wasn't it, James?
Yeah. So with bear markets, essentially, look, the whole point of having a brokerage or having a trading platform, right, is essentially we don't really care where the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of the coins or tokens go, because we will continue to execute trades. So we're still making money, we're still operating, we're not congruent, we're not attached to the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum or any particular coin. Even our own token to an aspect, we're not actually attached to that price, because right now the actual platform hasn't yet even rolled out, right? So there's no utility for the token. So people kind of use the FXF token as a benchmark for the actual quality of our work, but that's not true, because the actual platform itself is going to be rolled out very, very shortly. Utility of the token will be Q3 of this year. It's going to be used in order to reduce trading fees, give accessibility to better pricing tiers, better execution, and things like that. So realistically, given the fact that we are a brokerage, that we make money in bear markets, we make money in bullish markets, we make money in sideways markets, we continue to execute, and we continue to be a conduit between people that want to make money or buy or sell crypto, then we're still making money continuously. We also, as what I mentioned, going through Series A, so cash flow and capital is absolutely no issue at all. And obviously, we want to be able to grow and expand very, very fast in the geographical locations, because everybody knows the reason why we're here is crypto will become the #1 asset class in the world. It will take us a couple more years to get there. However, how fast the actual overall market cap has been growing, we all know that we're going to be there in a very short while. So actually, FINXFLO is something that really is required for the overall market. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to being concerned around any of that, no, even if there is a huge bear market, you are totally safe and secure with FINXFLO.
Great, James. Now, I've seen this in the Telegram community quite a lot, and the questions come up about the regulation. It's actually grandfathering status, not godfather, but I understand exactly what you mean. Similar thing. So look, we're beholden to the MES on this, and I think, James, it'd be good to explain a little bit more about the process. I mean, to our knowledge, that license hasn't been given out at all. MES, all the parties that are under the same status as we are. So it'd be good to highlight what we can, because obviously some of it is very private conversations with MES, but give the community an understanding of where we are with MES and how we feel it is, because we don't know the answer to this question of when is MES going to grant all the licenses, because that is down to the MES. But it'd be good for them to understand a little bit more. And these are one of the good pains that we have to go through to get the regulatory status that we know is going to really set us apart globally, and deliver a key differentiator to the other protocols, for example.
Yeah, so let's also step back from the actual question. Let's start with the PSA, so the Payment Services Act of 2019, right? So it's or 2020. It actually just literally rolled out. It's a new regulation. So the MAS are actually one of the better regulators in the world, probably if not the best regulator. Yeah. So they actually created the PSA Act around cryptocurrency and developing something for payment services to ensure that cryptocurrency had some kind of coverage. Now, obviously, when anything is rolled out new, the MAS have also taken the prudent approach of not regulating anybody yet. They've given everybody grandfathering status, allowing a lot of people that were already building and developing crypto companies to operate under the umbrella of the regulation whilst they are handing out the actual real license. So what that means is they've given us the opportunity to be able to learn whilst we're growing and being able to grow our team and be able to give us the regulatory coverage. So we already have a blanket coverage, but we haven't yet been licensed. We have applied for the full license. So we are now waiting, obviously, as what Matt just said, we're now waiting for the full license to be granted. We've been in deep conversations. So we've had a number of deep conversations with the MAS around what we are trying to achieve. And they're obviously kicking the tires with regards to the policies, the process and procedures, because they want you guys, the retail investors or the institutional investors, to not have their capital put at risk or have us do anything that could jeopardize your funds, because they're trying to reduce risk for anyone that is investing in cryptocurrency. So whilst we have had a number of conversations with them, they are taking the prudent approach of taking their time, as they should, as any regulator should, because it's a new regulation. It's just been rolled out, and by them taking the stance of allowing us to build and develop and ensure that we're reporting things such as the travel rule or KYT, which is know your transaction, doing the transaction monitoring. We're basically creating a much safer environment for the global crypto community to ensure that there's no activity like what many institutions used to say back in 2017 and 16. They would say, oh, cryptocurrency is used for nefarious activity like money laundering or for terrorism or drug dealing. It's attached to Silk Road. Whereas these regulators are coming in and kind of making the whole ecosystem a lot cleaner. And what that does is that allows people like us to prosper and ensure that we're essentially protecting you guys fully in all of our processes and procedures, and our compliance team are working extremely hard to make sure that they work within the realms and the remit of what the PSA Act says here in Singapore, and obviously across Europe and the US, but we're clearly talking about Singapore right now. And I'm generally hoping by Q3, Q4, I'm hoping that licenses will be granted and that we will be given our license. However, how long is a piece of string? I don't know. It's really up to the MAS. I really hope that we've given them all the information they require. I'm pretty sure that they will continue to ask us a bunch of questions, as they should. And once we allay any fears, then licenses will be hopefully distributed to us.
Thanks, James. We got a really good question here, and I think we need to turn it back on the community a little bit, but it seems to be part of the crypto journey. And Forrest, this question is, how can we get our community to stop the FUD on Telegram and be a positive part of social media? What would be the best way to be a strong part of this team? I'm in from day one and not going anywhere. So I appreciate that, Forrest. And I think everyone, it doesn't matter what project you follow, it's the same issue in many channels. And it's a bane of social media a little bit. But I think, how can we stop it? We're just factual as best as we can be, and the facts speak for themselves. That's my view. But we also need the community that believe in our project and believe that we're being factual and truthful to also help stand up, to be part of that community, right? And we value that. So that's my little bit of input. But have you got anything else to add on that, James?
Yeah, so thanks for that, Matt. But the number one thing for any crypto project is community, right? Community and unity. However, I actually quite like the fact that we're challenged, especially when we're challenged in the right areas and we're challenged in a productive manner, right? So if there's an issue to the platform, or if there's an issue around anything that we're doing and it's highlighted in the correct way, and we're guided and we say, hey, there's a potential weakness here. So before, I've seen people say, hey, I've seen a spelling mistake on your new website. That's extremely constructive. I really like that, because
it's an instant feedback loop, right?
Yeah, because
beauty of Telegram.
Yeah, because then the team have instant information coming in from the community that's very which is very critical to ensure that we are rolling out the best possible product and the best process for everyone to be involved with. However, there are a number of community members that are not as productive, and that's with overall social media. It's not just FINXFLO, it's many other projects, or even if you look at many celebrities, there's many trolls that kind of go on the internet, and I call them the keyboard warriors, right? And they're there typing away and saying silly things. It's something that we generally have to deal with. We try to, with our community managers, we train the community managers to try to be able to deal with this and handle it the best way that we possibly can. However, it really is the nature of the beast. If you have access to the internet and you have access to a social media profile, you can go on and you can say anything, right? There is no internet police, so you can say anything. Now, we will try to obviously answer any questions that we get asked. Obviously, I want to answer them the best that we can, and I instruct the team to not shy away from any questions. That's why I'm sat here in front of you guys on the camera, because you guys were like, hey, why are you not going on YouTube Live? Why are you doing this behind a screen? So I was like, okay. I instructed, we listened, and I personally wanted to come on camera to talk to you guys, and be here and support you, and obviously you're supporting us, and obviously I would also like this, because especially Forrest, thank you for asking the question. But if you've been a part of the community since day one, I would also ask you to also defend us, right? So if you know that what somebody is saying is trying to cause FUD, then you can also like reach out and help the community manager to say, hey, what you're talking is rubbish, because blah, 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 blah. Because we can only come out with facts. We can't come out with, attacks, because we are professional and we will always remain professional. So that's what I have to say about that subject.
Great. So a couple more questions. So from Randy, can you speak a bit more about what could go wrong right? What are the risks and challenges for FXF? I think that's quite important because we are aware of that, and there's some that we can control and some things we can't control. So we've touched a bit about the regulatory side. So it'd be good to see CEO hat risks and what we're doing to mitigate those, I think, James.
Sure. So the number one risk, as what I touched on earlier, really is the underlying liquidity partners going down, right? So if we have 25, 30 liquidity partners or exchanges aggregated, right? If all of them stop pricing, then we're unable to show you a price. So what the ultimate goal here is to ensure that we also add different pools of liquidity. So that's why we have a number of OTC and market making desks that are also aggregated to mitigate that risk. So even if the exchanges decide that they're going to stop pricing, we still give you guys accessibility to be able to buy and sell. Now, obviously, the next issue is essentially if there's a hack, right? Now, the hack would not actually be with us, it will be with the underlying custodian. Now, the custodians themselves, we only deal with regulated custodians. All of those custodians already complete code reviews and penetration testing. They ensure that there's no way. They also execute, most of them have things like MPC, multi-party computation. They also ensure that any funds cannot leave without a number of people confirming the private key. So that also goes on behind the background around the security. And then obviously the other risks of us not being able to market ourselves or being able to onboard clients. That's obviously a risk, but given the fact that we already have 16,000 people that we already have access to sign up to the product, we've already spoken to a bunch of institutions that would also be able to use our institutional liquidity. That's kind of already been dealt with and completed, and then obviously there's always the inherent risk that Bitcoin and Ethereum go back down to zero, right? And then people stop trading cryptocurrency. But I also feel that since the last crash to where we are now, the relative sell-off, which was around 50% from high to low, is not as volatile as what it was many years ago. So even the volatility is kind of it's still volatile, but it's dying. So the tail end risk of cryptocurrency collapsing and going to zero, nobody using cryptocurrency, it's now too big of an industry. It's too big of a market cap. So again, I think we have security there. So pretty much we're always monitoring security. We have security experts. We have partners for, as what I mentioned, penetration testing, code reviews. We try to offset as much counterparty risk as we have. And then obviously the regulators that we have, that's why we're regulated, to ensure that they are also kicking our tires. And when we get the stamp of approval and the license, you guys are also comforted by that, because you know that we've already had a big governmental body assessing everything internally to make sure that there can be or there's no weakness within our infrastructure.
Great, thanks, James. From HD, how do LPs benefit from providing liquidity to FINXFLO? Don't they lose out on transaction fees if people buy through FXF instead?
Yeah, do they lose on transaction fees? No, they don't. Essentially, look, most people have a favorite exchange, right? So maybe exchange 1 or exchange 2 that you kind of sign up to, right? Maybe you have 3, maybe you have 4. Sometimes you'll trade there for certain coins and tokens or whatever it may be. Now, what FXF does is that we aggregate, by aggregating, say, 1 million people on exchange number 1, 1 million on exchange 2, 1 million on exchange 3, 4, 5, up to 25, however many millions of people. Now, within that ecosystem, there's going to be a large proportion of those traders that don't trade with the underlying exchange. But by coming to FINXFLO, that exchange now has a portion of our transaction flow and how much flow is being executed by people. So they're actually picking up a lot more flow than what they would if they were not aggregated by us. So we've actually been in conversations with a lot of the exchanges themselves. And because we are an institution, because we're going to be essentially executing a lot of transactions, and we've got a much wider net than what exchanges generally have, it then gives us the advantage to be able to negotiate with these underlying exchanges. So we then pass those benefits on to you guys. So what that means is by coming to FINXFLO, you will get better execution, better pricing, for buying your coins and tokens by coming through us, because we've already negotiated and also placed margins. We put funds, we put money with each of these underlying exchanges, which they can use, they can stake, they can get APY from the funds and the margin that we're placing. And then obviously we then pass those savings on, because we get a 20, 30, 40, 50% saving depending on how much transactional flow that we're giving to each exchange. We then pass that on to you guys. So you will actually get much better pricing by coming directly to us and then us passing it on to the underlying exchanges, rather than you going directly to the exchange yourself, unless you're placing millions and millions and millions of dollars through that exchange. So they do benefit because they get a wider scope of clients and traders that they wouldn't have access to unless they were plugged into us.
Because they've got one account, one KYC,
yep,
one wallet from us.
Correct.
Right. We talked a little bit about the bridges, but someone's asked, Matt asked about the bridges and the Tron pair and where that sits, because this goes down to reducing transaction fees and opening up other chains, which we are working a lot on in the background as well.
Yeah, so we hired a blockchain developer. He's joined the team. We're also, I believe, hiring another blockchain developer, and it's something that's very high priority for FXF and FINXFLO is to be obviously fully interoperable across multiple chains. We are working on integrating, I think, five or six chains right now. Yeah. It's very, very important. We've actually developed our own bridge. So a number of other exchanges, they have bridges to other chains. However, they haven't developed them themselves. They've actually used a bridge, yeah, a bridge provider. Whereas we've decided to go the route of actually developing our own bridges, because it's safer for our own ecosystem. So it's actually taking a little bit longer than obviously plugging into a third party. However, the protection and the security, which was the previous question, is a lot more solidified by us building our own bridges. We will be executing our first bridge, will be in a roughly 2 weeks time, maybe 2.5 weeks time, where you guys will be able to reduce your trading fees. And then after that, we will have the second, third, fourth bridge added, because once the bridge has been built and developed, it's pretty much a plug and play, and we can do the same to other chains, and then we become fully interoperable. We are looking at a number of other chains right now. As I say, it's going to be around five or six chains that we will add. I see probably within the next three to 6 months.
Great. Now, James has a valid point about projects giving weekly or bi-weekly reports, or bi-weekly is quite impressive, I have to say, because it takes a lot of time to write the report, which is something in itself. But anyway, to the community on updates and developments, and I think that will help them look back occasionally at their progress and any plans for this.
Yeah, so we have, as I mentioned before, we've been growing very rapidly. We're adding more and more resources and more people in various different areas. We haven't been as active within the community as I would have hoped, to be honest with you. I feel as though we should have created these reports sooner rather than later, because we want to have the transparency between us and you guys out there. However, it hasn't gone to plan yet. It's something that we have within our roadmap to ensure that we tighten up on our communication with the community. Now that comes obviously, as I mentioned, with resources and hiring new hires. We've had 2 or 3 new starters, new joiners today. So we're adding to the team. And as we add more, we'll have more time to be able to collate and create these reports to ensure that you guys are receiving the transparency that you deserve. So it is something that is on the horizon. We are working on it. We should roll this out, I believe, in the month of June. So it will be bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks we will give you the latest updates.
Bi-monthly.
Sorry?
Bi-monthly?
No,
bi-weekly. Wow.
Bi-weekly.
Look at that.
Yeah. So every 2 weeks we will essentially give you the latest kind of updates. Some of them will be a lot more extensive updates than others if there's been real like achievements on the roadmap. Not all of them are going to be a 50 or 60 page document. Some may be just a very simple 1 or 2 pager. But we will be giving you clear communication and updates as per your request, and it's something that I personally apologize about that we haven't maybe been as active as we would have hoped with the community with these kind of reports, but it's something that we're now tightening up.
Because there's lots of comments about doing more live AMAs maybe every month.
Sure.
Which should also add to that, I think.
So we can also do a vote in the community, and we can say, do you want us to do a live AMA monthly? And we will give that to you guys, and you guys can vote. We can work that out, and we'll work together on how often that would be.
Brilliant. We've also got a comment on staking, and obviously we're currently staking FXF with MantraDAO. That's due to end in June. We're going to extend that for another month, and we'll put something officially out on that in due course. But we're going to keep that running, and as James explained on our roadmap, staking will be native as well on our platform, but we want to reward the holders that are actively staking, and that will maintain for next month. Right, let's have a quick look through. No problem, Randy. We're trying to get through all the questions. There's been a few questions about why the LPs haven't commented on our marketing. It's appearing that, well, it's implying that there isn't a liquidity partnership, which is not the case, right? So it might be worth answering that, because that's come up quite a few times about why CZ hasn't personally reposted for us, for example. So
yeah, I mean, look, let's look at the CEOs or the owners of these underlying exchanges, right? So if you've just been aggregated by a so-called liquidity provider, right? So we're going to be passing them flow. Technically, they don't want to retweet and say, hey, FINXFLO's here. The amount of work that our legal team and partnership team have actually gone through, the amount of due diligence and paperwork, right? So if you look at other so-called projects, right, none of them have announced any real tangible liquidity providers underlying tier 1, tier 2 exchanges, because the amount of work and the amount of legality around it is very, very intricate, right? So it takes a lot of time. You have to go through the ultimate beneficial ownership of the business. You have to look through the KYC, AML. You have to go through all of this, right? Now, not only that, but if CZ tweets FINXFLO, essentially he's going to be driving a lot of his people that are trading through Binance, are then going to know about FINXFLO, and they're going to go, who is FINXFLO? And then all of a sudden they're going to trade through us rather than going to Binance, because they know they'll get a better execution, better pricing, etc. So it's not business savvy or business sense to be able to start retweeting FINXFLO, because you're going to create our project, and essentially we are the little brother or little sister, right? And we're going to grow to their size at some stage, but they're essentially allowing us to grow a lot quicker rather than just not retweeting us. So that's the reason why they don't want to retweet, is because essentially at some stage we will be taking some of the transactional flow away from them and routing them into other liquidity providers. So that's where our marketing really has to kick in, and we really need to get like a lot of eyeballs on the project. But it just doesn't make business sense for a Coinbase or a Kraken or an FTX to tweet about us, because they will naturally be driving some of their traders away from their platform and onto FINXFLO. So they're just not going to do it.
Yeah, this has come up a couple of times. Platform security, enable 2FA, things like that, just so the community are aware of what we're doing on the security side for the platform.
Sure. Yeah. So 2FA is going to be executed not upon the first launch, or the launch where we open up after the first 100 traders. So that will be executed. I envisage probably around a month's time. So upon like two to 3 weeks, it won't be there, but we will be working actively on the 2FA. Obviously, we have the normal 2FA, which is the verification of email, the verification of telephone. However, we will be adding further security around that to ensure that there can't be any hacks or any misappropriation of any coins or tokens.
Great. This is a really good question from HD. What was the thought process behind choosing Singapore as the hub, and how does being based in Singapore benefit the project?
Oh yeah, very, very good question. So Singapore is obviously Asia's hub, right? For all the big banks, the technology. Essentially, when we were looking at the fintech hub of the world, there's basically a few around the world, but Singapore really became the prevalent place. It's obviously super safe. It's secure from living standards, but also from governmental standards, from the infrastructure standards of regulators. Obviously, the MAS rolling that out, as well as the talent pool. So the talent pool is obviously very important to be able to roll out a platform like ours. You need to be able to get good developers, good sales guys, good compliance guys, and having the bigger banks all based in Singapore and being the financial hub of Asia really gives us a really large, big talent pool. Hence why we've made acquisitions of the Standard Chartered Bank compliance officer, who was one of the executive directors of the bank, who's joined FINXFLO and so forth. So we've really been able to cherry pick and go into the bigger banks that come with a number of years of financial services experience, because cryptocurrency is very, very new. I wanted to be able to go into these larger institutions and be able to pull them from these locations. So as you notice, Singapore is a financial hub. New York is a financial hub. Cyprus within Europe. The reason why we've gone for Cyprus for everybody listening in right now is because technically the UK being British was the financial hub. However, Brexit has thrown everything up in the air. So we actually decided to go to Cyprus because Cyprus is essentially the financial hub for most FX brokerages, CFD brokerages. So again, it's the same thing. There's a very, very large talent pool and they're very talented within that country. So that's really why we've cherry picked and selected the countries that we have. Great.
And that's really important. And Singapore is very proactive with blockchain. There's a number of really cool projects here. It's a quite close-knit community. It's very easy to meet a lot of people on the island that are in blockchain and looking at cryptocurrency. So that for me is a really good. It's great for networking and crunching ideas. And there's lots of key players from the cryptocurrency space that are based here that you may or may not know about. So it's definitely becoming a major hub, and Singapore can see that you know that they can see the benefit for the country. So we're really pleased to be here. Right, let's have a look at the other questions. Okay, a few more questions about the experience for the early gold ticket holders. I know you've answered most of that already. I don't know if you want to expand a little bit more about that, James.
Yeah. So the early ticket holders came in and they were obviously trading on the platform. As I mentioned before, we debugged. We've done a number of bug testing before going live. Obviously, it's something that we completed, but some of the bugs actually reappeared. So there were some issues with the user experience itself. So there were slight issues, not huge issues. The platform is still okay, it can still operate. However, we want to ensure that we deliver the best user experience for every single trader, and these little kind of bugs, we want to get them fully ironed out again before we open up the floodgates. So that's why we decided to stop onboarding anybody else, ironing those bugs out. There's whitelisting of wallets that's also being integrated right now, and the Satoshi test and all this kind of stuff that has to be completed because of our regulation. So now we're just completing those final parts again within the next week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe maximum 3 weeks, max 3 weeks, but most likely 2. We will open up again, but that time we'll be able to onboard a lot faster. So you should all expect be able to start trading live. And as I mentioned, on this Monday the 31st, the demo testnet account will be there. You'll be able to load in your testnet tokens, and you'll be able to trade using the new platform. So you'll also be able to get a taster before the actual platform is live in 2 weeks.
Readily available. So yeah, watch out. There'll be a few more ticket holders coming through. I'm sure you guys will post that in Telegram as you see them come through, and then we'll be garnering a lot more feedback, and slow and steady wins the race, as they say. Right, let's have a casual one then, James, because this will be a nice ending question. If there isn't a lockdown, where would you go to hang out, grab a beer or a juice in Singapore?
Oh, in Singapore, probably go to Sentosa. I really like it over there. I like Capella. To go and hang out at Capella and go have a beer and relax. I also normally go to Orchard around Orchard Road is quite nice. So I live extremely close to Orchard as well, so I can walk there in like 5 minutes. There's also a fantastic off topic. There's a fantastic fish and chips place, and being British, there's a Smith's fish and chips at Balmoral Plaza. So
that's dangerously close, James. That was almost on the list for eats today, because I drove past it and I was like, oh, it's the closest bit to proper British fish and chips. He imports everything. It's a very authentic, except for the pricing. That is not authentic. That is crippling.
It's super expensive.
But you know, they're one of the downsides of living in Singapore.
And also, I guess the final place that I really like is what's the place? Level 33.
Level 33.
Yeah, it's the rooftop bar.
Oh,
level 33. I can't remember.
You're beating me there. I could go on. List goes on. Potato Head, I quite like.
Potato Head. Sailor V is good.
Yeah.
Sailor V is pretty.
The view on MBS is very special. So Spago or Sailor V is a great place to have some sundowners. There's so many good rooftop bars. The food out here is amazing. We're very, very privileged for that. Although that's all locked down at the moment, it's takeout only. So as soon as the lockdown finishes, I'm sure we'll be able to escape the office and enjoy some of what Singapore has to offer. Right, there is a few football questions, James.
Okay.
As you were a professional football.
Yep.
So I know you shy away from it, but that's a hell of an achievement, because it's rare as hell to succeed in elite sport. So I think you shouldn't shy away from it. So they want to know a little bit more about football. And they want to go clubbing with you as well. So there you go.
Let's go.
Right. So it was like, where did you play, basically?
Where did I play? What
football
position?
Position. Team you managed to get into.
Cool. So I started when I was very, very young, like 5 years old. I then signed at the age of like 11. I signed for Charlton Athletic. I then left Charlton Athletic at 13. This was many years ago when Charlton Athletic was in the Premier League, might I add, right? And then when I was like 13, I left. I went to play for Chelsea in the youth teams. Worked my way through. Ended up signing back in the day. It was classed as a YTS, so a youth training scheme. My position was. I started off when I was like 5 or 6 at right back. Then I went to centre midfield, and then as I got older, I then went to striker. And then as I got to the reserve team level, and then first team when I was 16, 17, and I was hanging around the first team, that was when I kind of went to the what I class as the number 10 lazy role, the role that's just behind the two strikers. I'd be in there. But yeah, I mean, I was very, very, very good at that stage. I'm fat and old now, so I think I could still play. Some of the guys from the office hopefully will invite me to play 5-a-side, and I'll be able to show off my skills again.
I think we better video that and then get some evidence. I think there is a little advert. A birdie told me, a little shoppy advert of James in all of his prowess, which I'm sure you can Google, of you powering through on TV.
Yeah, so I was asked because being an ex-professional footballer, Shopee approached me and wanted me to do an advert. So it was actually the one advert before Cristiano Ronaldo. I was asked to do the same advert with Cristiano Ronaldo, but I was here working on FXF, so I said no. But yeah, I was on Shopee. I'd done the advert, and if anybody would like to see it, I'm pretty sure that marketing will be able to post it in our Telegram chat. Yeah.
Right. I think that's it. Thank you so much for all the questions, and we'll take a lot of the feedback on board, especially with reaching out more to the community, bi-weekly letters, etc. So thank you so much. Last one then. What is your team, James? What's your favourite team? Although you were playing for Chelsea, what is your favourite team? You have to get that one in before I end the stream. He's under pressure now. It's got to be your childhood team.
Yeah, well, yeah. My favorite team is Chelsea. However, the last couple of seasons, like watching football, I don't really watch a lot. But when I've watched the Jurgen Klopp Liverpool is with Mo Salah, and you know their team is very, very exciting to watch. So
that's my team.
Yeah,
I feel a bit of a sham saying that, but as I grew up with rugby, but that is my era of Ian Rush, Bruce Grobbelaar.
the crazy legs
and goal. And Ian Rush, yeah. All right, guys. Look, thank you so much for taking the time, everyone, and all the questions. Really appreciate that. And stay safe wherever you are. And we look forward to speaking to you on the next one.
Thank you, guys. Take care. All the best.